Hi, this is Wendy Cowan, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the 5E lesson plan. This is going to be brief. If you need to know more about the plan or just want to know more about this particular lesson planning instrument, you can do a search through Google, Yahoo, whatever, for 5E lesson plan or 5E lesson planning, and you will find lots and lots of resources because this lesson plan is widely used. It is based on a constructivist approach to learning, which suggests that people construct knowledge and meaning from experiences. So the phases of the plan are experience phases. You're going to have an experience in each of these, and the experiences are designed to construct knowledge. If you think back to ED 307, some of you may have not taken ED 307, but in ED 307 we talk about constructivism, and that is the foundation on which the College of Education at Athens State um, has based their teaching program is on a constructivist approach. Um, Using platforms that help learners to construct their own knowledge instead of everything being teacher directed. So for the 5E lesson plan, the teacher will obviously plan the lesson, which you're going to do. You're going to plan a 5E lesson plan. But what you're going to find is that because it's full of experiences, most of the phases are very student centered or student directed. Teacher led, maybe, because you're going to tell them what to do, but at that point, then you're going to step back and facilitate. Okay, so anyway, I said this was going to be brief, so I'm going to just, quickly go through each of the phases, which are engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and then evaluation, in that order. We're going to begin by talking about engagement. This is nothing new. Probably every lesson plan that you've ever created begins with an engagement part or an anticipatory set. This is the part of the lesson in which you try to pique the interest of the learner, get them excited about what the lesson's going to be about, the concepts, the turn, whatever it is. You want to get them personally engaged. Remember, if we can make it real, then they see that the content is applicable to them, not just in this particular class, but to my life, which definitely helps us with buy-in. And it's also a time for you to pre-assess. You're going to gain an understanding of the student's prior knowledge, and you're going to also identify any knowledge gaps that may exist, because you may have some students that when you pre-assess, you find out, oh, they're not ready for this. And you'll know that you're going to have to do some supplemental work with those students particularly. An example, okay, let me just tell you this right off the bat. For this particular assignment in this particular class, all of the activities are going to be technology based. Obviously, you're taking a technology class, an educational technology class. And so while this lesson plan definitely works with activities that are not technology based, for the particular learning that I need to take place in my ed tech class, all of your activities are going to be technology based. So an example, and there are so many, an example of an engagement activity could be just watching a video. You could go to YouTube and you could watch a video about whatever your topic is. It could be responding to a poll, like a poll everywhere. You could give them a poll everywhere that asks them some questions and builds excitement. Or it could be like you could go to Padlet and do a brainstorming activity, like what do you know about such and such topic? And then they could all enter everything they know about it. Those are just examples. I kind of hate to give examples because then I'm afraid when you start creating that you'll like use my examples, which I don't mind if you do, but there are so many options. The second part or phase is how it's defined is exploration. In the exploration phase, students actively explore the new concepts through hands-on experiences. Remember, we said that this is a constructivist model, so obviously there's going to be a lot of hands-on because we want them to be constructing their own knowledge, and we do that through experiences. Also in this phase, there should be a lot of communicating and discussing with their peers. It's very key and very instrumental to this part of the phase is talking through what you're doing, what you're learning, what you're participating in, because we know that we learn also based on our interactions with others. Again, constructivist approach. So in the constructivist approach, there's always partner or group activities, and the exploration part is definitely one of those. An example of an activity for this, I mean, again, okay, my dog is barking, so if you hear little barks, that's my little dog Haley. She's a little Maltese, and she hears something that she doesn't like, so she's gonna bark at it. My cat is also sitting next to me, and she thinks that I'm like extremely weird because I'm talking out loud. She like looked at me like, "Who are you talking to?" Anyway, going on. Exploration. An example activity could be for a math class. It could be playing a math video game that would give them an idea of some of the concepts that are involved in that particular math lesson. Again, so many of these based on your content. You'll find lots of exploration activities that you know about that I'm not even aware of. Moving right along, we're going to talk about explanation. It is just like it sounds. This portion of the lesson is used for explaining. Teacher-led process. This part is definitely teacher-led, and more so than any of the other phases. What you will do in this phase is you're going to begin by asking the students what they've learned in the exploration phase. Because you may find that they've already learned what you're fixing to explain, or you may find that they didn't learn enough for where you're planning to start your explanation. So it's really important that you kind of know where they're at so that you know where you should begin. During this part, you're going to ensure student understanding, you're going to answer student questions, and you're going to introduce the technical information like terms, definitions, procedures. An example activity could be, a Powtoon video or an animated video presenting the vocabulary, something like that. But it's for this part, it will be a digital presentation that you create. Elaboration. To me, this is the really fun part. This is where it all comes together because the students are allowed to practice their skills and behavior. It's the time where they take everything that they've learned. You got them excited about them. You got them excited about the topic. You let them explore the topic and get their hands into the topic and learn more about it. And then you formally explained it. And now we're going to let them practice it. They're going to take what they've learned and they're going to apply it. During this time, they will develop deeper and broader understanding, because as you apply, you do understand better. They're going to obtain more information because, to do their project, they may have to go out and explore additional resources, read information, discuss, watch a video, whatever. And they're going to refine their skills, which is always great. So, an example for this, for your particular lesson, you're going to have to do 2 different elaboration projects, and they both have to end with a technical product. So there must be some product that they create, okay? So for this, your product can't be something like a Microsoft Word document because that's really not a creation. Now, if they created a story and they wrote it into a Microsoft document, I might could be persuaded for that, if you were doing a literature class maybe, but there's so many other technology products that we could use. So don't even go there. Let's not do that. Because it needs to be something they create, okay? An office doc is not really an exciting creation, right? So you're going to do an individual project and you're going to do a group project. Just off the top of my head, a Glogster digital poster would be a great digital product. A website could be a great digital product. What you can't do is they can't create a PowerPoint or a slide presentation. Those are no-nos because that is the easy go-to. Also, I didn't mention this, but it's in the assignment instructions. For your explanation part, you cannot create a PowerPoint or a Google slide presentation, or any of the basic slide presentations. Now, if you come up with some new great presentation that does look like it's in slide format, but it has some nice add-ins to it. You can definitely ask me about that, and I'll for sure consider it. But I do want you to stay away from those tried and true um, go-to type things that we always use, because I want you to think. I want you to really think about what would be a great final product to really display what your students have learned. So that's the elaboration part. And then, of course, we always go back to evaluation because we want to, at the beginning, we stated objectives. Students will be able to, students will understand, students will apply. So we've got those big objectives. Well, we've got to go back and we've got to evaluate it. We've got to make sure that the objectives were met, and that's really important. We always want to make sure that our objectives are met. This is a time for self-assessment. This could be a time for peer assessment. This could be a time for peer review, but it's also definitely a time for instructor assessment. It can be formal and informal. You could watch them or you could formally test them somehow. It can also be summative and formative. So let's give an example, because for your assignments, you do have to give formative assessments for, it's in the instructions, but I believe it's for the exploration and the explain portions. And you have to do, obviously your summative assessments are is that elaboration parts, those projects. And so an example of a great formative assessment could be like a Kahoot quiz or a Quizlet. At the end of the formal presentation in the explanation part, you could give them a quiz. That's obviously an easy go-to, but that's definitely an option. You could throw out a poll here and ask some questions through poll here. There's just so many ways. You could do an exit slip, but you could do your exit slip in the form of a discussion board, which would be an electronic format, and there's all kinds of online discussion boards and things like that. So anyway, just examples. And obviously for both of your projects, you're going to have a rubric, and there's some great online rubric makers that you can use for that. And you can probably actually, even do a search and find somebody that's already created a rubric that might, you cannot take their rubric and turn it in as yours, but you may. I usually never start from scratch when I know that there's a plethora of information that exists on a topic, and obviously for rubrics there are. So you could probably find a rubric and review it and then modify it to fit your specific needs, and then you could use that for sure. Okay, so oops, didn't mean to go to that page. Let me just jump back out of here. That's it. If you have questions during the process, don't hesitate to contact me and ask. I really, really think that this is going to be a fun project for you to create. Have a great day.